A 1, 2, 3. Hello and welcome to X-Rated, the X-Men animated review show.
This should be fun.
I think so. I think this would be a good time. I am your host.
Just like roaches. Find one, you know there's plenty more.
That's true. There's more than one host here, and that does tend to be the case here at the United Federation of Podcasts. I am your host, Cody. Probably the worst name I've ever come up with for this show.
Pretty terrible.
And with... I was having a hard time. And with me, as always, is my co-host.
He will make an excellent addition to our specimens.
He will. The Akondre, which is like one of the best names you've had since on Drabertooth, I think. I wanted to use the Akonti in my name so bad too because I think they're cool, but you would have had a better one anyway.
Well, you better not have an X point about them because then I'm short one.
Superfan Sam says this episode is basically making love in a van. Well,
it's called Love in Vain. Is that the connection?
Oh, I guess so. Interesting. Anyway, we are here to review season 3, episode 19, Love in Vain, of our beloved X-Men the Animated Series, written by Martha Moran, I believe first-time writer for the show. I think she's come up yet. And directed by and produced by the great Larry Houston.
Larry H, you say? You've
never one day friend of the show.
You've never referenced him before in this entire time we've been on this show. This is a new thing for me. I've never heard this name.
No,
this is new and alarming to me, and I don't know how to handle this.
Well, Larry Houston, he produced and directed and fixed a lot of the art on a lot of these episodes. Storyboarded it pretty much all. Him and friend of the show Rick Hoberg, and Will Mineo till he left to do like who was the one he went to do? Crap, I forget now. One of those
by the way, you should have let me in on the notion we're wearing Santa hats because I could have worn one. I have one. I could have
really go get it.
No, it's all the way over there.
You mean in the same room as you right now?
No, it's in the other room.
Oh, fine.
I can run and get it. Can you?
All right, go get it. I'll entertain the X-Goons. All right, X-Goons, we're gonna do a little segment without Andre. It'll probably be awesome. All right, so let's fire up catching up with Davan, why don't we? Yeah. Oh no, I moved all my sound effects around X-Goons, so it might be a little. So, if you noticed that we started an hour later, it's not my fault.
You start the catching
up. The fault of Nova Scotia Power. Yeah, I'm doing a catching up with Davan to explain to the X-Goons why we started an hour late, and I canceled the show and then uncanceled
it. I noticed that. It was very,
very
unprofessional, I must say.
That's a fine traditional Santa hat you've got there.
Thank you. It's one that fit. It's one of the few that fit my bulbous head.
A good funky long elf one.
I do like that one too. I looked at there's an alarming amount. They had one that was all white at the dollar store I was looking at. Like it was very strange but oddly compelling.
That would get dirty.
Yeah, pretty quick. But it's not the easiest thing to wear with these headphones. There you go.
That's pretty hilarious. Davan, do you have an actual job? Yeah, in fact, I own a landscaping company, but there you have it. And right now I sell.
Is that a little defensive? You're like, yeah, fuck you. I do stuff.
Well, look, I do a lot of podcasts, so I understand why you think that I don't do anything but sit around and prepare for podcasts. But I actually just prepare really fast. Well, one day, look, there's going to come a time in the next year or so, 2 years maybe, where we just all podcast for you wonderful people.
That would be amazing. Can we do that now?
Oh God, I wish. What kind of beer is that? Oh geez, I don't even know. It was picked up for me in New Brunswick today.
Oh. Well, mine is Jameson IPA edition. It's Jameson that's aged in IPA barrels. I'm a big fan of the Jameson Stout Edition, and someone suggested this one, which is actually also good. A little lighter, but I do like it.
But anyway, my point was Nova Scotia Power's fault, not mine. The power was taken from me, but then returned.
That's what's been going on with you? Anything else?
Basically that. Well, not really. Well, not that I'm going to talk about this week, but we'll revisit that in another episode.
Very mysterious.
Yeah, and it's going to remain so for now. Yeah. Well,
that's exciting.
Oh no! Well, here comes the baby. What's wrong with this baby? What? She's calling. Oh. Hold on 1 sec.
Okay. Well, it looks like I am entertaining you now, the listeners, and I'm going to talk to you the true story about Christmas and how Davan is one of the worst human beings I've ever met, possibly committing war crimes.
What?
Oh, hi, Davan. Welcome back. Oh, hey. Can you hear what I was talking about?
Not. Oh my God.
Okay. Yeah. So he went on off against it. Okay. So SOS, help me for God's sakes. Davan is holding me against my will. And as long as this podcast is running, he has my family tied up in the basement. Nothing. Happily podcasting. Everything is going well. And
look, I'm in my basement right now. If I had your family tied up, clearly you would either see them or hear them. Is that not the case?
That's what worries me, Davan.
Gags. They're called gags. Sorry about that, everybody. I got a bit of a sicky baby.
Hey, parenting comes first. The rest of our silly little podcast is second. Well, I'm glad things are well with you. It sounds like it's been.
Things are fine. Other than that, I got this new. Well, hold on. I'm gonna play a little song before I talk about this. Hold on.
I'm gonna get by with a little help from ex-friends.
Look, I'm getting by with a little help from ex-friends lately.
Well, that's the Beatles. You're stepping on some possible horrible copyright infringements here. They're like one of the more litigious suers. Short of Disney, I guess if Disney hasn't sued us yet, we can read the Beatles.
Look, if the Beatles are going to sue me, it should be for how often I say they're the most overrated band in history, not for
you can't sue someone for that.
And I was channeling Joe Cocker, not the Beatles.
I was going to say yes, but obviously it was a cover.
Yeah, well,
but I do think it's a superior.
But you know why? Because it wasn't the Beatles playing it. Literally anyone can cover a Beatles song, and it will sound better than the Beatles version.
Well, that's right.
But anyway, I digress. I mean, look, they're good songwriters, but they're passable musicians, and none of them are good singers. So that's the truth about the Beatles.
Wow, that's gonna get it. I think we're gonna lose some viewers for that one.
Look, probably.
I'm not the world's greatest Beatles fan. I do like the Beatles very much so, but I'm not a diehard listen to them all the time kind of guy. I do think I do think they're great, but I'm certainly not going to get into a war with someone over whether they're the best or an overrated band. Personally, I probably like the Rolling Stones better, but I don't know. If I sat down and did every song by song, who knows? Maybe I would come out a Beatles fan.
I think I probably like the Beatles better than the Rolling Stones, but I don't think the Rolling Stones are held in quite as high regard.
No, they're definitely not. I mean, they're in the same conversation, but not usually right up there.
I've seen the Rolling Stones live a couple times, though.
I'd love to. That's really cool.
Yeah, they're good showmen. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the ex-friends, Andre, as well as some of the other council members of the United Federation of Podcasts that we have here, chipped in to help a fella replace his horrible laptop that has ruined too many podcasts for you wonderful people. And it'll never happen again. Murphy claims this laptop will last me 10 years. We'll see about that, but that's what Murphy said. So,
yeah, big thanks to him for organizing that. So it was nice. We're happy to help and provide how we can. And, obviously you do a lot of stuff for the United Federation of Podcasts. So, and then for us, so I was happy to chip in and help out.
Well, this may be love in vain, but I love you guys.
Aw.
All right. So, well, why don't we get into it? You got a breakdown. Oh no, hold on. I even forgot this one episode, and that was horrible. Oh no.
I'm gonna get by with a little help from ex-friends.
Previously on X-Men.
That's what I meant to do.
So, you're going to marry that redhead that beat the pants off of the Imperial Guard.
She's calmed down a bit since then.
Reminds me a lot of your mother.
How?
Maybe I should wait to tell you till after you're married.
Because you're going to be boning pretty hard. I love how he assumes that, like, I don't know. It sounds like it's a joke about sex, but it's like, he's just like, well, only when you're married will you get this one. It's like, come on.
Like, really? Was mom a planet-consuming entity?
Or like, did you wait to have sex with mom until you were married? Like, that seems pretty antiquated, even for a guy like Corsair, who's like space pirate traveling the spaceways.
Well, you know, he was probably an uptight military man before that. Old,
yeah, you get Major Christopher Summers, I guess, with the name like Major. Yeah. Well, let's get into it, I guess. Sorry,
let's get into it.
Since you didn't ask me what I was up with me this past little.
Oh, sorry, man, you were gone getting your Santa hat. What did you do this week other than interview Jason Liu?
Yeah, sad news. We had to put one of our cats down.
Oh, right, man. Sorry about that.
Oh, it's
Maybe
okay.
I didn't ask you because it's a downer, but go ahead.
Yeah, no. So we had to take her to the vet and have her put down yesterday, and it was incredibly sad.
19?
Almost, yeah. She was like, I think
that's a good run.
Yeah. It's tough. She was, when I met Jen, she was with Jen, and we've been together a very long time. So, yeah, it's rough. Losing a pet is rough, but that's the kind of the price you pay for caring about anything is to be upset when they're gone, and it sucks. But I think it's worth the juice is worth the squeeze, I guess. So yeah, she was lovely, a wonderful cat. Suck. And
kitties will break your heart, man. They do. That's what they do.
They sure do. But it was her time for sure. If we hadn't done it, I know it wouldn't have been much longer before she went anyway. But she was she had an eye infection, really bad, that we tried to have removed, like her eye removed to fix it, and she stopped breathing under anesthesia, so we couldn't do it. So we just had to let it go. But I don't think that's what killed her. I think it was pretty gruesome looking, but I think it was just age, because she was starting to slow down and losing her faculties, and it seemed like she lost vision in her other eye, and it was kind of confused. And so it's a shame. It's sad, but it's a kindness, really, because if they were in the wild, she would have just suffered until she died. So, but yeah, no, she was spoiled every day of her life. Jen spoiled the hell out of that cat, and I told Jen she won the cat lottery because the cat had the best life a cat could possibly have. So. Yeah, sad, but I'm just trying to move on, and not move on, but not get caught up in it. Thanks, Sam. It's very sweet of you. In positive news, Davan, I bought a new pair of headphones because my Beats by Dre finally died. I've had them for a very long time, and I ordered a pair, and then my wife chastised me for ordering a new pair without consulting her prior to Christmas. Although she asked me to give her a list of things I wanted for Christmas. New headphones wasn't on the list. So I went and bought new headphones, and then she got mad. Not mad, but she was like, why do you do that? Why'd you buy these for close Christmas? And I'm like, well, I said, because, I needed them, and they weren't on my Christmas list, so I assumed they were safe to buy. And she was like, no, I get the list. I'm not buying
you don't buy for yourself in this close to Christmas, Andre.
Why have the list? Why have a list that I provide of
give to other people?
That's exactly what she said. So
she was right.
Anywho, she already was she's already scoping out newer headphones for me. So she had ordered those, but I already ordered. I read a thing online a while ago about how Beats by Dre and Skull Candy are like, if you listen like that, they sound the same pretty much. In fact, Skull Candy sounds better, which I thought was interesting. You're just paying for the name. So I figured I'll take a shot at Skull Candy and see what they're like. So I ordered a higher end version of those, and they came in. And then Jen was like, "Well, I was going to buy you these brand new Sony ones, which are like marked down to like 200 from 300 or something, that are like the best." And I looked them up, and they are insanely good headphones, and in all this studies and stuff. So I was like, "Well," I already had the Skull Candy ones. I was like, "Well, maybe I can return them, or maybe I'll just see what they sound like first." Because there's something else I kind of wanted that I could have suggested to Jen. So.
I was going to say, tell her to buy you a microphone that isn't attached to your headphones.
Well, if you let me finish my... you're really good at getting ahead of the script every single time, even in real life stories, apparently. So
no, it's true.
So
I'm usually living about 10 seconds ahead of time.
I went to try the headphones that I just received, and they did not work. They did not turn on. I powered them up. What? They said they were fully powered. They would not turn on. So I messaged Amazon, and they're like, "Well, you got to send them back because they're broken."
Message Dr. Dre himself.
Well, no, these were Skull Candy ones. So my Dr. Dre ones have died, but I've had those for like 10 years. So, it was, not unsure that they should go. So I just messaged Amazon, and they're like, "Well, we'll send you another pair if you send back those ones." I'm like, "No, just give my money back." And so then I'm going to get the nice headphones from Jen. So I sent them back, got my refund, and used the money to buy a Yeti microphone, which should be in any day now. So then I can use that for this podcast. And
they're similar to this style, right?
You can stop complaining about phantom beeps that nobody else can hear but you.
Actually, it's gone. Oh no, there was. That. No, it's still there. It's still there. But when we're talking, it's hard to hear it. If anyone, nobody can hear those little beeps.
This happened before, and they couldn't. I remember we recorded it and we did it and tested, and nobody could hear it. It's your crazy brain. It's in putting these beeps in there.
Yeah,
this headset is sound. This is an amazingly good headset.
This is a fine product for someone who could sponsor our show.
That's right. But anyway, if Yeti wants to send us all mics, that'd be great. But anyway, I got a nice Yeti microphone that was, fairly deeply discounted on Amazon for, I think it was Black Friday. So yeah. So that should be here by the next episode.
Assuming they don't just jack the prices up to then drop it on Black Friday, which I've heard is maybe a thing.
I like that meme where it's like Braveheart, where they're like, hold, and it's like, 409. It's like, hold. And it's like Black Friday, and it's like $6.99 marked out and 409. It's like, go. And they all go right. That's pretty accurate. But no, apparently it was seemingly marked down.
So was this laptop by a couple hundred. So hopefully that was real.
I don't know if you can check when you look at your invoice of or your order summary about how much you saved when you ordered it. Yeah, because it was 109, and I think it's normally 170. So it's fairly significant decrease. So yeah, I'm excited. I've always wanted a Yeti mic. Now it was 39% off. So it was 180 marked out in 179.99 marked out in 109.
Nice.
Yeah, I went with classic black because it was the cheapest. If I had the blue one, would have popped it up by like $20 more. I didn't care that much that it was blue. So yeah, should be good. Excellent. So
we're stepping up the gear here.
That's right.
Take us through the episode.
No, I want to talk about my life some more. So I started thinking about life. What does it mean exactly? I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Okay.
What does it mean? Does it mean anything? Does anything matter?
Whoop-de-doo, Basil. What does it all mean? All right, Love and Vein, the final episode of season 3 of X-Men the Animated Review Show. And by that I mean the X-Men the Animated Show, because we're the X-Men the Animated Review Show. However, it's real tough. Like literally the only way to know what the proper numbering of this show is to just go to Disney Plus and look at how it's limited here. Because if you look anywhere, like Wikipedia, Marvel Wikipedia, IMDb, they are not right. None of them are right. Because I was like trying to look at them and trying to figure out which ones were, because this one, even to look up notes about this one, is like almost near the end of season 4. If you look at the old placement of episodes. So it's very strange and hard to navigate. But anyway, here we are with X-Men. Season 3, episode 19, Love and Vein. We begin by seeing Scott and Jean going off to some location in their Corvette, making out in the parking lot outside the school, as one does, I guess, so all the students can watch. And then we see Rogue, who is watching from her window, also peering, being kind of sad that she doesn't have anyone that she can be close to or in love with. What are you doing, Davan? Is your baby there? All right, I'll keep talking. So Rogue wanders into, is watching them and smashes her bedpost because she's frustrated that she cannot have what Scott and Jean have. Then we go to the stars and see a large space whale, I will call it. We, as a Marvel fan, will know it's the Akanti. But, if you're just tuning in and don't really know what they are, they're giant space whales. They kind of resemble the windfish from Legend of Zelda, if you want a very, very obscure reference.
I have some other things they resemble for an X point later as well.
Do you? Is the windfish from Link's Awakening one of them?
No.
You don't remember Link's Awakening?
Didn't play that one.
What? That was a game. It was a great game.
That was the Game Boy one, right?
Yeah, it was. Where it's all a dream, but a beautiful dream, similar to Super Mario Brothers 2. So then I guess it makes sense. There's quite a bit of one of the things I really dislike in fiction, just because in this episode, which may knock it down a point or two for me. However, we do
points knocked off for me this episode too.
Yeah, there's a few things that aren't great. But then Wolverine is like meditating in what appears to be New Mexico. It's certainly not New York or anywhere near New York, which I find interesting.
Or Arizona, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, they're all kind of relatively in the same area, desert area. They got not mesas. What do you call those things? Those rocks that go up and you see in deserts.
I forget what those are called.
Yeah. Anyways, he's on he's sitting there, and then all of a sudden the Akanti crashes in the sand behind him. He goes up to it and checks it out, and then a hole kind of busts out of the side, and a bunch of creatures come out wearing Doc Ock arms, which I thought was odd considering they're supposed to be the Brood. This is essentially the animated series version of the Brood. They're called the Colony in this, but I'm not sure why they skipped the Brood or why they didn't use the Brood. But
I don't know that.
Is it written in the book, the Bible?
Oh, geez, I'll check while you carry on.
It very much seems like they should be the Brood. I was quite surprised they weren't. But anyway, they're a version of the Brood that looks similar without the big head, except they're green and they have little Doc Ock arms attached to them, essentially. So they come out, start coming after Wolverine. Wolverine gets an altercation with them, manages to somewhat overpower them, but then escapes and runs off, and we're surrounded by even more of them. And there's a few funny lines here. I believe Davan mentioned one in the opener about cockroaches. How you see one, there's always a bunch more behind it, which is something Wolverine says.
Oh, I might have some stuff here. What is this?
Y'all have no idea what you got there. What I'd give for...
A little jealous rogue, but here's...
They don't smell human. Whoa. Cockroaches from Mars. Large economy size.
He always sounds like he's having fun. Like, no matter what's going on. Like, alien... Like,
Did you say fun?
I guess...
This should be fun.
I guess alien life existing isn't a surprise anymore. They've been in other worlds. They've fought aliens.
They have.
But just the idea, like, it's just always like, oh, alien cockroaches from Mars. This looks fun. It's like everything he says is like this sort of Christian Slater 80s, like, bad boy kind of thing. And, like, it's just like, everything Rogue says, even when she's sad.
There's casting for me.
Everything Rogue says, even when she's sad, sounds like some kind of a bedroom thing. You're like, you don't know what you have. Like, it's just always so... I'm good at mimicking a sensual voice, but that's my sad take on it. But anyway, Wolverine is engaged between the aliens coming at him. They shoot him with some kind of a ray from their tails, which sort of puts him in a bit of, like, weakens him quite a bit, but he manages to get away.
He's not doing well.
I know, he isn't. So, but it knocks him right out, and then the essentially the ray, like, he staggers a bit and doesn't know what they did to him, but then he passes out. Then we reveal that these creatures can speak, seemingly English. And are you familiar with Allspeak?
Allspeak,
which is something that's usually referenced in I think it's Marvel Comics as to why they say, do you speak Allspeak, which is like English essentially in comics, meaning there's some universal language that everybody speaks in space. So that's how it's how they justify that. People, all these different races seem to be able to speak to each other because they all speak this sort of universal language, which is an interesting idea. I mean, if there were I guess assuming species are capable of speech in the standard way.
I mean, there they are in the book, but it doesn't really say why they went that way.
Really? Very strange. So they speak. They say, you know what? This guy was a very formidable opponent, and he'll be good to add to the collection, essentially. And then they descend upon him. Then we cut back to Rogue, who gets a gentleman caller arriving, knocking on her door, who is Gambit, trying to get her to essentially come out for a night in the town.
Oh, I might have a clip for that.
Of course you do. You love your Gambit clips.
I was reading about love and adventure, Gambit. What more could a gal want?
The real thing, Shell. Gambit at your service.
Yeah, real tang shit.
His voice kind of sounds different, there. Do you notice that?
Oh, this whole every clip I have tonight's going to sound a little higher pitched.
No, but even when I was watching the episode, I noticed this, that Gambit sounded, Gambit sounded a little different in that. It's very strange, but anyway, maybe they had a step-in voice actor and the guy wasn't around, or maybe it's just the way he recorded it. I don't know. Anyway, Gambit's trying to convince her to come out with him. She says she has a good line here about even even a swamp rat or something once. Do you have this line? She says.
I think so, actually.
She says even
crazy swamp rats need a gal they can touch.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was going to say you couldn't have not missed that one. So
my name tonight was almost Skelrat, but I went with Cody. Even though I named myself, I hate that character. Cody's the worst character in the history of the show.
There's a lot of just because with Cody.
I just don't like his voice. I don't like anything about him. Every time
you don't like his southern charm, but now we can be together. Possum, is that what he calls her? Possum?
No, I'll tell you what he calls her in my X points later.
Okay. Well, I am just skimming through the episode when I'm doing this, so I can tell you in a second because it's coming up. So she goes to meet. She gets a phone call from a blast from the past, and then she arrives at outside of a movie theater, in which she sees Cody, the teenager that she put in a coma when she kissed him back when her powers came to. She goes to see him across the street, almost hit by a car. Oh, he said possum, didn't he?
Well, he says this.
They're mutants too, so they don't get their britches in a twist like everyone else.
You never gave me a chance. You left before I got out of the hospital.
He just put me in the hospital and ran. Like, didn't even say to see if I was okay.
Yeah, he calls her possum. So she gets mad at him for using that nickname. He comes out to see her across the street, almost hit by a car. He does quite an impressive dive off the car. Do you notice that? When the car goes so he's in the middle of the street and the car goes by, and he actually does put his hand on the hood and flips over the car, and then she catches him when he goes the other way. But that's an incredibly impressive.
Must be those alien spores.
I'm guessing so, but you're just giving a huge. I mean, obviously, people probably watch this episode already, and if this is how they're learning about the show, they really should watch the show. But he does this impressive sort of front flip that Rogue catches him before he hits the street. But there's a lot of flirting going on here where Cody's just sad that Rogue never gave him a chance after she put him in a coma, essentially, and he didn't stick around to make sure that they could continue their tryst, their relationship. Apparently, she never left an address and just bailed and went to Xavier School, or I guess got locked in with Mystique first and then wound up in Xavier School. But anyway, he, he's here to reconnect with her and be with her. But Rogue, of course, is sad because, she still has the same problem. She isn't able to touch another person. And without zapping their powers and put them in a coma, Cody tries to kiss her, and she, of course, relents because she doesn't want to hurt him again or put him in another coma. She has a good line about this, about how one coma is usually enough for a guy in a lifetime.
Oh, yeah, I didn't grab that one. That is a good one, though.
It is pretty good. So Cody keeps trying to this feels weird saying the word name Cody so often. Cody's one of those names that seems so new. To run into an old man named Cody is going to be very strange. He's not
an old man.
No, but in life, at some point in our lives, we're going to run into an old man named Cody, and it's going to be very strange. Because it's a newer name. It's not one that's been around for that long. Probably past 40 years, maybe. So it's going to be strange. I guess when I'm running into old Codys, I'll be an old man myself, so it won't be that disturbing, but it'll just be strange. However, Cody keeps pushing the subject.
What about Scody?
No, that's a terrible name. It doesn't even sound anything relating to this episode. It's garbage, and you should be very deeply ashamed of yourself for coming up with it. In fact, I want that laptop back. Can I have my money back that I gave for the laptop?
Just because of Scody?
Yeah, I want it back. Send it back.
No, I knew it was bad, but I didn't expect those types of repercussions.
Fine, buddy, you're fine.
All right.
I still love you.
Okay, good. Just not Scody. Change it. Change it now.
It's quite all right. I'll let it slide for now. So I was called him Scody. So Scody's over here.
It's not a fan fiction, Murphy. That happened in the comics too.
Oh,
right. In the Age of Apocalypse universe.
Yes, I do vaguely recall that.
Indeed.
So, Cody basically is trying to say that their love will overcome any physical limitations they have based on her abilities.
Yeah, like, now I can absorb your mutant powers because of love.
Love will save us. I mean, I love to think
my.
that young Cody is right. However, he does have an ace up his sleeve because as he's trying to convince this to Rogue, the two of them are shot with a beam from another colony alien who seems to be lurking on a nearby building. He shoots an energy beam at the two of them and causes them to essentially, when Cody kisses her, he is not hurt by this because whatever the alien did to them. So she's a little mesmerized, a little bit of a headache, and is a little woozy. But then they kiss and she doesn't hurt him, and she's super excited about that. But then she kind of passes out. So then they're surrounded, and I hate these red herrings when like we do eventually know that Cody's working with them, or at least is one of them. But like when after she passed out and Cody's holding her, you see the shadow of the aliens come over him, and he looks shocked and scared. Why is he shocked and scared? He knows them. The whole reason he's here is because of them. The Doc.
Well, also he says later he only thought there was one of them.
Did he say that?
Yeah, he's just like, I didn't know there were others.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, we cut to Logan being moved around inside the Akanti. He, it's kind of disturbing that their ship is inside a creature. So like all of the architecture is actual entrails and like organs and like
there's been organic ships before, but they're usually not so like gutty.
Even the
usually not so much guts and like.
That's right. You like the Lex, for instance, which is the deeply Canadian reference for you.
I wasn't actually going to mention Lex, but okay, I'm going to add that to my X point.
It's a giant bug that is a ship that
featuring friend of the show Lenore Zan on one episode.
That is true, and various other non-friends of the enemies. If you're not a friend of the show, you're an enemy of the show. Is it yin and yang, or how does this work? Do we just refer to anybody who hasn't been on the show or supported as an enemy of the show?
Like a neutral of the show.
I wish shows had enemies
of the show. Okay, fine, enemies. No, I don't like that.
No, I don't like that either. It's too antagonistic, but I do think it's funny. Yeah. Enemy of the show,
Enemy of the show, everybody else we could.
Big thanks to enemy of the show.
Other than 4 people.
Or we'll just pick people that we don't like and then, and just make them enemies of the show. Not that it'll ever matter. Like just say, look, enemy of the show, Kanye West. And then it's like, it's not going to matter.
Yeah, he can be an enemy of the show.
Wouldn't it be great if he wanted to come on the show to defend himself? He's like somehow, some way through like
I wouldn't put it
social
past
media. He like gets some. He's like, why do these assholes from Nova Scotia not like me? And he wants to get on the show and just like defend himself. And then he knows a lot about X-Men, and it turns out it works out really well.
I've never heard a Kanye West song, so I wouldn't know.
You've never heard a Kanye West song?
Not that I'm aware.
Gold Digger, one of the most popular songs in the world. Harder, Better, Stronger, Faster, the one he did where it's like he takes the Daft Punk song and
I've heard
adds the rap part. Version. Yeah, well, that's the better one. But there's one where he does the same riff, but he adds like he raps around it. Anywho, I'm not a big fan either. But we see Wolverine, who is hovering on a weird little space table that looks to be made of organic matter as well. The creatures leave him, and then he manages to cut his way free. Which is fun watching him use his claws for actually cutting things. He doesn't get to do very often in the show.
Right? Usually they just bounce off other metal things.
Then he realizes
he's right through them.
He's inside a living creature. But then the colony notice him and come to attack him and keep wanting to call him the Brood. He manages to shrug him off and then fight a few others and then essentially crawl his way to freedom through, I'm guessing, a pore? Some kind of hole.
Was it like a blowhole?
Could be a blowhole. He does cut off some of the arms that keep wiggling around the Doc Ock arms from their little metal apparati they've attached to their midsections. So Logan manages to make it out and slide down the side of the Akanti and, make his way off. He gets attacked by another one of the colony. They shoot him with their beams again. But he manages
Wolverine's fighting for this entire episode.
quite a bit.
Like, he's just like scrapping it out the entire time. Eventually, the X-Men join him and stuff, but like the fight never stops for him, except when he runs off in that cave.
Well, that one just kind of comes up and then shoots him with the beam, and then when he doesn't fall off the side, 'cause he's like hanging on the side of the cliff, like climbing the way, he just holds on, and then the creature like turns and leaves. So it doesn't even like fight him; it just shoots him with the beam again, and then heads back to report to its queen, who we now meet, who says that, what does she say? I just had it up here.
No, that's not what I said, Murphy. I said I've never heard a Kanye West song. I know who Kanye West is because of all the stupid shit he says.
That's the only reason.
It's the only reason.
Mm-hmm. The marriage to Kim Kardashian, the thing with Taylor Swift, the multiple albums, the shoes, none of that.
I didn't know he was married to Kim Kardashian, but honestly, I only knew who she was because she married him, and I don't you know what I mean? I'm very far removed from all this.
We're into here.
Yeah.
So the Queen reveals that they've been watching essentially the X-Men for a very long time, waiting for their moment to strike and bring them into their colony. And we know this because apparently they have a copy of the opening of this TV show because she turns on like a video screen to show how they've been studying the X-Men for years. And then we just see a bunch of clips that are used in the opening. Yeah, we see a bunch of clips that are seen in the opening of the show. So Scott using his powers, Wolverine jumping at the screen, Storm. It's all stuff that I believe was used in the opening or at least other clips of the show. No, it's some clips. Become clips of the show. But then obviously because of this, they know that she has a relationship with Cody. But they must have been watching it for an awful long time because they're really interested in Rogue.
I think she says like a decade.
That's a long time.
Yeah,
so, like how would they know you'd be watching?
Too strong, so they couldn't face them head on. They had to.
So like she's like we've been watching, especially this one, who like they're excited at who's Rogue, but it's like then you see her with Cody. So they would have had to be watching her when she was just a normal teenager before her powers activated, when she's making out with Cody out in the south.
You think they were watching Rogue this entire time, or just like mutants and X-Men in
But
general?
she wasn't even a mutant yet. Like they didn't know what her powers didn't activate till she was I guess sexually excited.
They did get her. They did get Cody just to get her though, didn't they?
So they would have had to know she had a relationship with Cody before, meaning they were either watching her when she was a regular human being, or read her mind, or did a.
Do you think they got him out of the coma? Like he was still in a coma, and they just
maybe these are the secret lizard people that rule the world. Maybe they're the Illuminati,
the Silurians.
It could be what from Doctor Who. They're not the same thing.
No, not from Doctor Who. That's an actual scientific proposal theory, the Silurian hypothesis.
Yes, I'm familiar with it. It's stupid, but in Doctor Who, there's a race.
Yeah, it's stupid.
In Doctor Who, there's a race called the Silurians that live under the earth. They've been here before humans. They've been here since the Cretaceous.
So basically, the Silurian hypothesis.
Yes, but Doctor Who had it on the show, so I'm not sure. But they've been around for a long time. I'm not sure when they first appeared in Doctor Who, but it's been a while. So they're probably just tapping into when Silurians appear on Doctor Who.
We're Googling.
I am Googling.
This is important stuff.
Important stuff. They first appeared in 1970. So, prior to all that stupid stuff.
Worldmind Murphy says Rogue's powers are basically conservatives' views on periods.
Well, he's not. I mean, they probably know. They care or know about as much of women's reproductive system as they want to, which is sad and depressing.
Which is enough to ban it.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't ban women having periods. They just ban them doing anything to have any autonomy over their own bodies. Just normal stuff. Sad, depressing, normal stuff. I don't want to shit on our neighbors down south because many of them don't have, a say in those decisions. They vote, but all you can do is vote. And if the Supreme Court is stacked full of religious zealots, then that's what they're going to do, and that's what happens. So,
we'll throw an intervention for our American listeners another night.
No, I'm not ragging. It's not everybody. I mean, there are a lot of things with Canada I don't love either, but I do think things like that are sad and depressing, and I'm hoping that will change sometime in the future.
Like Nova Scotia Power, for example, trying to rob the ex-goons of this show tonight.
That's exactly. I'm sure that's what they did. They said, you know what? Let's fuck over 5,000 of our clients, and just so Davan Skelhorn, because he's using the name Cody.
Cody, we have to end this.
Cody.
Put an end to Cody now.
It sounds like a stupid nickname someone gets. Like, you're from
It was a horrible nickname. Imagine
your
calling
name's from
someone
Nova
Cody.
Scotia and your name's Cody. I'm gonna call you Scody, bro.
Oh,
you're
no,
Scody from now on. Hey, this guy's
terrible.
Scody, and they're all like, yeah, Scody. So this conversation goes. So Rogue wakes up on a park bench, and Cody tells
I gotta think for that.
Go ahead.
Morning, sleepyhead.
Morning. Did I sleep all night in a park?
This is the most hilarious scene in the whole episode. They're just sitting there on the bench, and she just kind of rubs her eyes, and he's like, "Morning, sleepyhead," and you're like, "What?"
It's like, well, I sleep on this bench the entire night, and he's like, "I never the heart to wake you." It's like you just let her sleep on a park bench overnight. Where you sat there and stared at her.
I don't like anything about Cody. I don't like the cut of his jib.
Do you know what a jib is, Davan?
No.
Oh, how are you going to make it on a trivia game show if you don't know what a jib is?
Oh, man, they're going to pick you over me now anyway. So
I haven't heard anything yet, so who knows?
You're not supposed to till December or January.
Well, they said they want to cast it by Christmas, so you'd have to hear by Christmas.
Well, they told me it's December or January.
Oh, well, maybe it'll be January.
Me and Andre are both trying to get on a show. It'll be awesome if we both get on it. I mean, Andre will probably actually win some money. I'll just go there and try and be funny.
Hey, being funny's all right. Yeah, no, it's a battle. What is it? Battle of the Generations, Canadian trivia show. So yeah,
we both got callback interviews, so that's good.
Yeah, I think everybody probably does for that first wave. Do you think?
Or is it's the opposite. There's a big disclaimer. It's just like unless we plan on maybe having you on the show, you're not even going to hear back from us.
Oh, I didn't even read that.
That's a good sign that we got that far.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a good interview. It was a lot of fun. I got 17 out of 20 right, so I think I did pretty well.
Yeah, brag it up, why don't you? I got 11 out of 20. Geez, what's Meghan Markle's first name, Andre?
Rachel.
I wonder how you knew that answer.
Because I looked it up. Because I'm smart.
I'm sure that's how.
I did know a bunch of other stuff, so don't worry about it. But anywho,
let's just say I did my interview first.
A jib is a sail on a ship.
So, okay, I knew it was a nautical reference. I just wasn't exactly sure what.
The cut of your jib is the cut of it's the type of sail you have on the back of your sailboat.
Okay, why don't we just call it a sail?
Because it's a jib sail. There's different types of sails.
Oh, okay.
So Rogue, disturbingly,
so it's like the jib sail, that like combination of smaller sails. Like you have the.
I think it's the one in the back. I think, but anyway, I
we
guess
should know this.
Let's start a nautical podcast where we just learn nautical terms and then become sailors. The whole episode will just be sailing.
Lobster season started today.
Ooh,
ships all left Eastern Passage here.
Lobster season started today. Lobster season is in December.
Yeah, it's a winter thing. It's a winter fishery.
No, I'm sure I've gone lobster fishing in the summer.
Well, there's different areas and different things, but they all left the passage here, Fisherman's Cove today.
So Cody wants Rogue to run off with him. She wants to do so, and says she's going to let the other X-Men know. We see Wolverine, who is still weak from these blasts that these aliens have given him. He manages to make it to a payphone, picks it up and dials the X-Mansion. Doesn't use a quarter though, so I'm not sure how exactly he's using this payphone. But
you can call collect back in the day.
We don't hear. Wouldn't it be great if we heard that? We don't hear that in the episode.
Will you accept a call from? Oh my God, the cockroaches! Help me!
Yeah, Wolverine's not very good at
Wolverine's
not super good at elucidating his point here in this episode. He's like, cockroaches.
Roaches, too many. Now,
where are you?
I mean, New Mexico.
That's gonna be my. I'm gonna call you up someday and just do that. Like, Davin's cockroaches. That is all.
Where are you, Elsa?
Then I will not tell you. I will not tell you.
I'm home.
Just chilling. Just chilling. What are you saying? So, yep. Then we have Xavier getting that call from Wolverine, realizing they need to get to him. Of course, Beast jumps to assist by tracking the phone call.
Beast, what does he say here? Oh, wait, what couple?
Wolverine don't normally make sense, but this makes less sense than usual.
That sounds like normal Gambit.
Let us contemplate less personal matters, Gambit. Wolverine seemed in acute distress.
He seemed in acute distress.
That seems like an odd little dig at Gambit for no reason.
Well, Gambit's worried about what Rogue's doing, and he's just like, look, you like Rogue, but Wolverine literally just called us screaming, and you're worried about like Rogue's boyfriend. Come on, man.
Just put aside your. It sounds like something untoward is happening. Some of your personal feelings for Wolverine. So Rogue shows up and asks for, at the worst possible time in the world, when Wolverine calls up screaming that the cockroaches are attacking him, to ask for time off. They're all like, "We got to go help Wolverine," and she shows up
after that phone call. She's like, "Look, I'm taking a day off."
I know, it's like the worst time in the world.
Like, no, not now. She's like, "Look, I don't ask for days off often."
Yeah, basically it happens. Professor X's like, "Not now, Wolverine's in trouble," and she's like, "I've never asked for a day off, and I'm taking it, so fuck you," which I think is pretty selfish. I get that, like, you now have a chance to be with someone, but she's trying to act like she just wants a day off, and then Beast sort of like reveals what the real reasoning is by saying, "Is like, is this guy with you?" Because you can see him on the screen waiting in the lobby, which is funny. She tries to make it sound kind of altruistic, like she just wants a day off, and then it's like, well, obviously it's to be with this guy. And then Gambit, of course, sees him. It's like, "Is that the Cody?"
That's the Cody, huh?
Rogue gets defensive and says, "None of your business," or any of their business.
None of your business, swamp rat. Yeah. It's a pretty funny scene, actually. This episode has some things I found funny, but it's not my favorite.
No, it's so anyway, that line you just played about Beast is relating to what Gambit getting upset that this isn't like Rogue to run off, and that they need to go and
find. Fair point. There is some squirrely stuff going on there, and he did sense that. So, fair point to Gambit.
But when they're getting ready to take off on their little trip together,
we can't hear you, man. Your volume just cut out.
Oh, I must have hit the mute button. Sorry. So
you're back.
I think I hit the mute button. Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
So Cody's being coy as to where they're going. He's saying that they're it's a surprise as to where they're going off in their ship. The X-Men are heading towards where they saw Wolverine, where Wolverine called from, which is strange. Wolverine ran off, called them from payphone, was like screaming like he was fighting while he was on the payphone. Then they arrive at the Acanti, not even at the payphone.
There's no payphone.
So they're like and they see Wolverine walking back towards the ship. So he wasn't fighting.
He's going back for round 2.
He was just being overly dramatic on the phone. Like, you heard the phone call. It
does sound
very
like
much
that,
like he was in a fight. He's like, "Cockroaches, It's like,
well, he might have been fighting off the infection.
I guess, perhaps. But it doesn't really. Yeah. Anywho, so he's
makes sense.
He's dragging his ass back towards the ship, but basically collapses before he can get to it. Sorry about the yawning. It's these late night podcasts, Davan. That you
I know. Look, this isn't going to be our finest episode, but look, it's not the finest episode of the show either. So it's matching.
This convenient power outage that made you delay the show is kept me up later than I normally am up.
Hey, that was real. That was a real
I see
power outage.
No evidence to this being true.
Look on the X-Men animated review show Facebook page, and you'll see another Eastern
that you
Passage
posted.
resident
Come on,
comment on it. No, another Eastern Passage resident.
You know how easy it is to make a fake Facebook account, Davan? All you need is an email address.
That in the middle of a power outage, get out of here.
Cell phones, Davan. Cell phones. So Wolverine's all
good thing we had like those packs you can plug it into. Yeah.
Wolverine's all sweaty and weak. The X-Men come to his aid. Basically, he says that the aliens are in the ship. The female queen the female queen basically instructs her minions there to not. I guess by saying the female queen, it should be implied it's a female. The queen tells them to.
We do not have children as you do. We need host bodies for our race to continue.
Kind of like Eartha Kitt there.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, a little bit.
I love Eartha Kitt.
The only reason
I'm a baby.
That's true. I'm more a fan of her work on Ernest Scared Stupid, personally.
Me too.
At the heart of a child.
Yeah. Oh man, and his Catwoman. Everything Eartha Kitt does is awesome.
Yeah. And the Empress in the Emperor's New Groove, or whatever her name is, the evil witch.
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
It's a great movie, actually. So basically, the Queen tells her minions to go get the X-Men. They're going to become part of the colony and not to kill them or destroy them or whatever.
Rude.
So you're getting way ahead of us on that part, but with that line from the Queen, but that's fine. We see a big fight between the X-Men and the group. Rogue basically shows up with Cody to the same location because his surprise was he's taking her to the alien ship. Well, they arrive. Rogue tries to help her friend.
You're gonna love it, he says. You're gonna love this place.
You're gonna love this place.
Cody sucks.
Yeah, he's pretty terrible. I must say,
he's not so much better. Gambit, for example.
Yeah, I know. We know your love of Gambit has been well documented for quite some time. All right,
that's Seth Storm.
But yeah, your love of Gambit and Storm and several other characters from the X-Men is well documented. So during the fight,
characters from the X-Men.
Rogue gets shot with a beam, which is their little electric beam. Rogue saves her out of the sky. Hold on, there's something going on with my.
They're so different in everything they do than the Brood. It's so strange. The only way you know that they are in fact a stand-in for the Brood is it's the Brood that rides around in the Aconti.
Yes, that is true. So Cody reveals that this was a surprise, essentially. Rogue starts saying her friend isn't sure what's going on. Cody, Rogue was trying to find out what's really going on, picks Cody up thinking that they're led into some kind of a trap. The X-Men, they all get surrounded by the colony. Then we discover that Cody's with them, essentially, that they this was the way.
Oh, Murphy hears the beeps. The beeps are real.
What beeps?
They're your beeps, man. You got beeps.
I really don't understand how. Is it somehow through the system? Because
like little whistles. Murphy hears exactly what I'm hearing.
Okay,
you're taking
I literally just recorded. I recorded an episode yesterday with Jason Liu, and I've been going through it to edit it.
Me and Murphy will hear them on that.
Fine. I guarantee you won't
hear them.
You're not going to hear them.
Oh, well, I can't wait till you get a Christmas present that's not that headset microphone.
I'm sick and tired of you blaming my hardware for your issues with SoundCloud or whatever it is that's going on here. This thing works perfectly for everything I've done, but it's only through doing this show through you that you hear beeps. This isn't the first time this has happened. So I really don't
blame me. Blame Murphy. Murphy hears it.
I'm not blaming you both, but I'm saying that maybe it's something to do with the connection through SoundCloud and not necessarily my headphones.
StreamYard. No, I don't think that's it.
Well, it doesn't happen.
Transmission thing, he says.
Okay, well, how can I fix that through headphones?
Yeah, Murphy, keep talking. We'll figure it out. Anyway, keep going there.
No, I don't want to keep going. Fuck you guys. I'm done. I'm saying you shitting on my stuff.
Yeah, when you begin speaking it like a slight audio peak. Oh, you could maybe take your gain down. I don't know if that'll do it, but if it's an audio peak, then the gain would probably help.
My mic volume down? Is that what you want me to do?
Well, I guess so, if you don't have a gain.
Well, I'm just using the audio settings in StreamYard.
You don't have anything. Yeah. Well, continue. I don't think I can edit it out or anything, but we'll work on it for next week.
I got to say, it's been a joy, Davan.
I know. This is our best episode ever.
Yeah. So anyway, X-Men finish their Wolverine runs off because he's having being overcome with whatever's been bothering him this whole episode, which we eventually see
spores.
Is becoming one of these beings through spore exposure, but he uses his healing factor essentially to stop it. We see Cody turning into one as well, implying that the aliens have come to him and of making him one of them. but it's the only
He's
way
like,
that
"This is perfect, bro. We can be together forever."
Yeah, it's giant scaly lizard
freakish
monster.
bug people.
Yeah, with spikes coming out of her necks, and also they
mandibles.
They acknowledge that they don't mate like normal people. They only
they need
reproduce through
bodies.
spores. So like, do they even have genitalia? Can they even be together in a sexual
They don't
way?
need it. They just need whatever
then once
organ or
they can be
gland
together, what are they
produces
going to
those
do?
spores.
What are they going to do? Hold hands and look at the stars together?
Now that's a good point.
So it's like, we can be together. Not really, if you're like asexual bug people.
All he says is we can kiss. They technically can do that with their mandibles.
I suppose, but it doesn't look like it'd be enjoyable.
No, it doesn't sound great. I don't think she's gonna go for it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're trying to call how this episode's gonna go, I don't know. But regardless, she Rogue, of course, starts turning into one as well, because she's been exposed to the spores. As the Queen reveals, they've all been kind of exposed to the spores, or the people that have been captive by them. Wolverine and her, basically.
Or Wolverine when he was captured, and Rogue when she was asleep on the bench.
Yeah, and the other X-Men who are kidnapped by them are being brought in, but it doesn't appear as though they have been sporified yet. So Rogue Wolverine comes up and sneaks up, lets Rogue absorb his powers so that she can well, first off, Cody bugs out more. Like when he sees Wolverine approach them, his head elongates and he starts looking more like the bug people. Wolverine kind of goes to engage with them, to fight with them. Rogue, of course, doesn't want to see all this going on, but she's still sort of becoming this bug thing. Wolverine runs up to her, tells her to touches her so she can absorb his healing factor and use it to purge her body of the alien spores. Which, Rogue basically rejects.
Move.
Yeah, it actually is a decent way to get around this. So Rogue uses it to heal herself, become back to human. Cody said they can't lose her again and runs off, which is strange. But he's now fully bug person. I don't think he's getting away back. So they find their friends who are trapped in the pod, like are unconscious in the little pods, Wolverine and the rest of them. I'm assuming they have been exposed to spores because none of them turned into these creatures. But when they were trying to leave, they were surrounded by the colony and the Queen and Cody. Rogue does an interesting little spin thing so that she knocks everyone down with her own people. And then the Queen basically is going to send the Akanti ship, who we know is a being they control, into space, so they can trap them in space of them on the ship, so they have nowhere to go, essentially.
The Akanti. What an extraordinary being. Gentle, fast. Of course, the colony needed it as a ship.
So earlier, Storm was trying to reach out to Professor X telepathically. She tried again when they were escaping, and then we reveal that he's been trying to help them, but they were blocked. But he can reach the Akanti and essentially removes whatever psychic blocks the colony had put on it to make it subservient to them. So in doing so, the ship basically, first we get some more fighting between the X-Men and the colony when they're trying to escape the ship. I'm trying to see where we get here. Rogue essentially has a face-off with Cody, who is becoming more and more bug-like and less of himself anymore, which is really ridiculous. That it's like, we're going to be, I guess he probably wasn't told about how he's probably going to lose any of his human form or his brain or anything of that stuff. But we'll be together as mindless bug creatures. So they discover that Wolverine, during the fight, they know Wolverine can't be turned. They didn't know that, so they're going to basically get rid of him for good. But when this is happening, the Akanti comes to life and back to consciousness and uses its bellowing cry to sing, which seems to bother the colony a lot. So they fall down, holding their ears and stuff. And essentially that's the Akanti basically is singing, which bothers them. It's not really ever stated as to why or how this works, but they're
resonance, I guess, seems to cause them pain.
Essentially, but then why? I guess once it's under their control, they have to worry about it. But it's also strange that they would pick a ship that, if something were
maybe
to go
they
awry,
didn't know that, and maybe the Conti didn't know that. But that's some insight that Professor X figured out, and he's just like, "Oh, if you
that's a
sing
lot of
this
reaching.
way." Well, he's Professor Xavier, man, can do stuff.
So the X-Men, the Vicanti basically lands on Earth, opens his mouth, lets them leave, and it drops it back on Earth so they can escape. Rogue tries to appeal to Cody one last time, but he's gone totally feral and doesn't really, just hissing and snarling. He's not really who he was anymore. So they leave him. They leave him in the Akanti, and then the Akanti just takes off into space. So it's kind of vague on what's going on with these creatures. Like, is the Akanti just now conscious, but just going to live with these things living inside them until they figure out a way to take over again? Or is it just going to spit them all into space, I assume, once it gets out of Earth?
That's my guess.
Yeah, just kill them all anyway. So it doesn't seem like it's just going to keep hanging out with people, you know. But anyway, Rogue is heartbroken because Cody's now gone, and a lizard boy from beyond the stars, and Gambit comforts her while the Akanti flies away. Thus ends season.
You did all you could, kid. Take it from a guy who's lost a few.
It's beautiful.
The way at the end.
Well, that is the episode, and you're right. That is the end of season 3. So let's get into our ratings. Here is my ratings theme song. I changed this all around in this new laptop. There we go.
Each of us will have to look into his own heart and decide.
Yeah, what do you got?
Oh, I didn't really care for this episode at all. I'm not saying it's terrible, but it's not great.
Yeah.
Like a 5 or 6. I'll say 5.
Yeah, I'll say a 5.
It's probably it might be one of the lowest scores we ever given a show.
It's my least favorite of the series so far. It just didn't do anything for me, really.
Wasn't very exciting. Like
Murphy says I'm way too loud now. All of a sudden, well, I didn't change anything.
No, it's really good to have.
Oh, maybe it's my sound effects. The sound effects. Oh yeah, the sound effects are up.
That was very loud.
I get you, Murphy. I get you.
You know what's great for live podcasting? Audio troubleshooting during the show.
Oh man, we're doing that. That's all we're doing tonight.
Well, yeah, okay.
You know. We're testing things before the big interview.
Yes, yeah, that's good. That's what you want. So yeah, end of episode, like 5. I'll give it a 5. Yeah, probably my lowest rating on the show yet. But it's not great. I mean, you know, Rogue being sad about her powers not allowing her to touch anybody is something we've explored several times. I don't know why we need to do it again with Cody and the Brood, but
the Brood, if it was actually the Brood, would have made this episode better.
Yeah, the Brood are more interesting.
None of the changes were.
Even though the Brood are an obvious ripoff of the Xenomorphs from Aliens, they do look much cooler than these things.
All right, well, now that you brought that up, let's get into some X points, and I'm going to talk about something sort of like that. Better volume?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, cool. So, Uncanny X points. All right, my first one, I might as well start with that one then. So, rather than the Brood that are like the xenomorphs from Alien, as Andre just said, what we get here is, well, like, you know, green lizard bug aliens with Doc Ock arms. But they're kind of like the body snatchers from like the Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Where they're out to snatch bodies rather than like kill you like the xenomorphs and plant eggs.
Well, they're basically the Borg.
Yeah, with the Borg. But like that really kind of alter your genetic makeup.
Well, the body snatchers actually replace you. They like you melt and they take over you.
Oh,
so there's actually a copy. These things just turn you into one of them.
All right, good point. It's not quite like the body snatchers.
Well, it depends on what version. I've only seen the original one and the 70s one. I didn't see the Abel
Donald Sutherland one. That's the one I know.
Yeah, that's the one that's the 70s one. But I never saw the Abel Ferrara one from the 90s or the Nicole Kidman one from the early 2000s. But
oh, jeez.
Yeah, the Abel Ferrara one's just called Body Snatchers, and I think the Nicole Kidman, Daniel Craig one's is called The Invasion, I believe.
Well, that was a bad X point then.
Yeah,
back to you.
It's fine. It's totally fine. X points. I had these up here. Where'd it go? First appearance of the colony, as we referenced.
Anywhere.
Version
And
of the Brood.
last.
In the comics, the Brood are a parasitic insectoid species with organic tentacles that lay eggs inside their victims to transform them into the Brood. For the series, they were changed to reptilians with metallic tentacles who infect their victims with some type of spore. Here we go. Here's the reason we tried to discover earlier. The change was made to make them more distinctive and animator friendly. The comic version of the Brood was previously seen as generic alien soldiers in X-Men, the animated series, Mojo Vision.
You just didn't have faith in their animators.
And Professor Xavier used the illusion of a Brood Queen to frighten the soldiers attacking Iceman and Cold Comfort. So those two things kind of showed the Brood before, but yeah, I guess they tried to pick something that was easier for them to animate. Although watching the Japanese intro to this show, they could animate the hell out of those Brood.
Actually, apparently it's the colony in that intro, not the Brood. So it looked like the Brood, didn't it?
Oh, they looked just like
I read that it was actually the colony. Okay, maybe the colony's in it too then, because I did read that. All right, well, back to me. So the Akanti, other space whale type creatures, of course, Lex, as we mentioned earlier. But there's also Budongs from Farscape, and also Gormaganders from Star Trek. So the space whale phenomena is a popular one. MZ says, I was thinking 5 out of 10, but Logan's phone call raised it to a 6 for me. Yeah,
That's
fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
The phone call was pretty great. Well, I'll make my next point about the Akanti as well, since just to acknowledge what they are in the comics. They're an ancient billion-year-old space-bound species who've been around as long as life exists in the universe, roaming the cosmos in search of knowledge and singing to the stars. A race of pure souls that harm no one. But the Brood have used them as
the colony with their songs.
But in the comics, the Brood have used them as transportation as well. They have a virus called the Slaver virus they use to enslave them. So they have been in the comics fairly regularly here and there throughout the years, and even in different alternate realities too, depending on whatever you're watching. But so they have existed in the comics for a while. This wasn't invented for the series; it was a comic thing, and it's pretty cool. They were neat little. It's almost something kind of Douglas Adams-y about them. I'm not sure why. There's a thing about a whale falling to Earth, but it's not a space whale or anything. But the idea of these giant space whales that just swallow people. It's kind of like a biblical Jonah and the whale, but in space. It's very interesting.
I was gonna say I feel like the colony are just the Brood. This is my next section. Mixed with the Badoon.
Yeah,
we've already seen the Badoon.
Yeah,
but
they do look like the Badoon.
They just look like Brood mashed with, and then added Doc Ock arms. So they're just
threw some Doc Ock.
But Brood, the Broodoon with Doc Ock arms.
Threw some Doc Ock arms in there for good measure.
Yeah. Back to you.
Back to me. This is the only X-Men not featured in this episode is Jubilee, who as
we've done better about not taking her on dangerous missions.
It's funny because they show the clips of how powerful the X-Men all are, and Jubilee is in it, shooting her beams and stuff, but we do not see her.
Fair enough.
Leave her at home once again. She's probably off fixing a VCR somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Cody calls Rogue Sugar.
He calls her Possum like 3 times.
And then he calls her Sugar.
Sugar?
Yeah, just like she says Sugar. So it's like, did she get it from him?
Maybe. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. That's my next point. Or does everyone in that town call everyone Sugar?
Everyone in that town get a Sugar call?
Well, my next one.
When they cut to the I guess New Mexico, it's very vague as to where Wolverine's hanging out. I was going to say that it was kind of weird that the Akanti just happened to crash right beside Wolverine. Why? But they are studying the X-Men and wanting to take them, so this was an actually calculated attack, so it does make sense. But Wolverine is going off to try to find the payphone. We do see like a dust devil blowing around in the which is always like an interesting little thing they always use when we see the desert somewhere. It's either a tumbleweed or a little dust devil, and we get the dust devil this time. No tumbleweed.
Yeah. All right. Well, my last X point. The Akonti. They can fly faster than light, and they can grow a few kilometers in size. They were led by a being called the Prophet Singer, and then the Prophet Singer got taken over, and then that's when they got manipulated. But yeah, the Prophet Singer. That was my last one.
It's your last point.
Yeah, my last X point. That, and I'll add a little thing that Rogue catches somebody again. Rogue catches somebody from falling from the sky every episode she's in.
It's usually Storm, actually.
It's usually it was the Storm again in this one. I think or was it?
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was Storm.
It was Storm this time. I can assure you.
And she catches Storm a lot. Storm owes her like a beater.
Well, usually it's because Storm's also flying, and when she gets knocked out, she'll fall. So usually the rest of them are on a more ground level. So they're the only two flyers, aren't they? Rogue and Storm.
Yep.
Yeah. So I guess one would have to keep catching the other. If one falls into the sky, it's what their jobs are.
You don't want Banshee comes screaming in there to catch you.
Ah! The most annoying power in the history of the X-Men.
All right, your last X point.
I started them, didn't I? Oh, am I
Oh,
last
did
one?
you? No, I don't think you did.
Did I? Oh, I didn't.
Oh,
Damn it.
whatever.
Okay. Last X point would be that this is a terrible way to end the season. I guess reflecting on this season, they should have ended the season with the Phoenix and just ended it on a high note. I don't know why they shoehorned in these.
This wasn't the end of the season originally. This is one
I know
of the
there were a bunch more episodes on top of this one, but even those ones don't end in I would imagine a season-ending manner. It seems odd that
the end of the Dark Phoenix is the perfect ending. No
yeah,
question.
it should have been the end of the season for sure. So why we got two episodes tagged on the end of it that what was the last one again? Oh, the Orphans. Yeah, I mean that one was fine, but that would have been honestly that storyline would have been
ending
better.
this season on the worst episode.
Yeah, I think Orphan's End would have been better to have had when Scott thought he was alone and Jean was gone, because at least it would have given him a little bit of solace in finding a family member. He didn't realize he had. So,
all right. Well, we'll rush this along a little bit. I think I have some parenting here. We'll where is it?
Oh, you got a parent a little bit.
I like it. What do you got for us tonight, Andre?
Well, unfortunately, recently, Albert Pune just passed away. Who was
who?
Albert Pune, Pyun. Do you not know who Albert Pune is?
No.
Well, Albert Pune was a filmmaker and director. He directed several movies, a lot of ones for Canon Films back in the day, who are not known for being the best movies in the world, but they're
Canon Films, indeed.
Well, let's just go through his discography. He did The Sword and the Sorcerer, which was his first film, and is a cult classic. I'm just going to skim up a bit through them. During the Center of the Earth, he did this movie, which actually he did the Captain America film from the 90s. That was the one with Matt Salinger. He did Dollman Nemesis, which is a great cult classic. Heat Seeker, a bunch of Nemesis films. A lot of straight to DVD movies, but don't get ahead of me, World Mind, Murph.
Is that your pick?
My pick is Cyborg.
Murphy nailed it.
Made under Canon Films, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and Deborah Richter. It's actually, this movie was supposed to be a He-Man movie. They initially had built the sets and did all this stuff to do a He-Man movie, but then something happened with the rights just before they get to filming, and basically Pune had to write a new script in like a week to use the sets they had built for the He-Man movie in a different way, and he came up with this film. As an example of like flying by the seat of your pants sort of filmmaking, it's almost genius that they'd be able to make this movie and what they did with what they had, and it actually is a very serviceable, fun movie, and it's oddly very well directed. It's hard to describe how good this movie. Like, I wouldn't say it's genius, but I'd say it's quite fun and it's very well put together. This is the Scream Factory version of release of it on Blu-ray. Came out several years ago. But yeah, it is a great, fun movie. I'll see if the original. Usually they have the original. They usually have the original art on the inside, so that's the original art. Cyborg.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Then they have the new art they put out for their releases. So yeah, it's a really fun flick, and Albert Pune was a cool director. He did a lot of straight to DVD stuff when straight to DVD and VHS was big business back in the Blockbuster days. But he's certainly someone who you can't like. The Sword and the Sorcerer is a very interesting film as well. Most people remember it from that sword with 3 blades the guy had, one when they'd shoot off into people. But it's a very interesting film. But check him out. It's sad he's gone. In his final days, I guess he asked for fans to reach out and tell him what his movies meant to them. And a lot of them did. So it's actually kind of a nice story. But in the end, he's gone. And if you want to lay in tribute of the man, go home and watch Cyborg tonight. Or Nemesis. Also good film.
Very good. Well, I came woefully unprepared, so I'm just going to...
Hey, check this out.
I didn't come prepared for any of the other segments. But we got this here. So this is what I should have been my hey, check this out last episode, because this is the issue, Uncanny X-Men, number 154, where Scott finds out Corsair is his father. And it's like a Scott Corsair Storm team up, just like the episode, except they're being attacked by the Sidri, a very spider-like alien race rather than the Shi'ar. So
Sidri.
And you know what? Another thing. You know how we're like in that episode, why is he calling that locket dog tags?
Mm-hmm.
It's because in this comic, they're actually dog tags. There's a locket and dog tags. So
2 separate entities.
Yeah. So that's ridiculous. But he says dog tags. So they just like ripped it out of the comic while they're checking to see if the animation was going to be dog tags as well.
I disapprove.
But yeah. So that was my hey, check this out. Do you want to throw one on there? You got one?
Yeah. Right. So this just came out. Unfortunately, I haven't read this one yet, but I've read several other books of this character, and I highly suggest it. It is originally done in French, I believe, but translated into English. It's called
Inkal.
Black Sad.
Oh, Black Sad.
So this is basically it's a period piece detective film noir story where everybody's anthropomorphic animals. The titular character, John Blacksad, is a private detective who solves, private detective type crimes. It is created by Juan Diaz-Canales and Juanjo Guarnito. They've done several books before. Most of them are collected in trades. I believe this is the 4th of those releases, and this is the part 1. So there's another one to come as well. The art is beautiful. Like the art is
look good.
Purely gorgeous. There was a video game based on this on these. It's almost like a Telltale game where you like have to solve a crime. Your decisions you make alters where the story goes, which was also very fun and good. I got the game and enjoyed it just because I really like the comic. But if you look at some of this animation, the way it's drawn, it's gorgeous, and the painted sort of style is really great. Every comic looks just like this one. They're all really fun noir stories. If you like film noir, detective stories, your Maltese Falcons, your Red Harvest, your Dashiell Hammett books, this is for you. And if you love anthropomorphic animal stories, which I do as well, it's also for you.
Who doesn't like anthropomorphic animals?
This is going in awful fast, by the way.
Oh my!
I think it's because of the shit you've been giving me about my fucking headphones. It's driving me to drink.
Hey, it wasn't just me. It's true. It's a real thing. Though I haven't been hearing it much in the last kind of 20 minutes.
Because it's in your goddamn head. You and Murph are
not
in a strange wavelength.
Well, we do host a podcast together tomorrow night. But we'll get into that in a
9-hour podcast about movies.
It's for you.
We're going to have it down to 2.
Students, Professor.
Oh, thanks to Fisher King. Fisher King says, good morning from Ireland. I love the Brooks Walktell interview. Yeah, he was a super great guest, man. Really interesting guy.
Yeah, thanks, Fisher King. I'm a big fan of Ireland. In fact, I'm drinking Jameson whiskey.
Fisher King, I am 1% Irish.
I am incredibly Irish, according to my DNA.
My DNA said 1%.
Oh, my DNA said like 65% Irish and English.
Oh, wow.
So, in Dublin, and in London specifically. But they show you on the map how concentrated the area your DNA is from, and it's very bright in Dublin. So, which is great because I really love Ireland. It was a great time, and I'd love to go back. But the tour of the Jameson factory was great, and I'm a big fan of Guinness as well. So I will come back for sure. And if your name is a reference to the Terry Gilliam movie, that's awesome. And if it was just a reference to King Arthur stuff, that's also awesome. So thanks for listening to the show, and we're glad you enjoyed.
The Fisher King is also a new X-Men character that lives on Arakko, who apparently has no powers, but like everyone super respects as if he does have crazy powers. Something crazy is going to happen.
How can he be immune without power? Something's got to be going on with him, doesn't he?
Yeah, something's going on there. Yeah. Something definitely going on there. Yeah, what's the homework, Professor Zandre?
Well, it's to go watch The Fisher King by Terry Gilliam, which is a great movie. Very underrated Robin Williams film and also Jeff Bridges film. But A Fisher King is the last of the British kings charged with protecting the Holy Grail, so that may be connected to him.
Wait, is that the movie where Robin Williams eats like already half-hatched turtle eggs on the beach?
I don't think so. It's the one where he's like Jeff Bridges is like a shock jock who did an interview one night where someone called into his show.
Way different. Way different.
So basically, Jeff
Bridges
is like a shock jock who someone calls into his show, and Jeff Bridges antagonizes him, and the guy ends up going on like a spree and kills a bunch of people. And then later on in his life, he runs into this homeless guy who's crazy and thinks he's a knight of King Arthur, played by Robin Williams, who turns out he was a normal guy who lost his wife in this other guy's attack that Bridges feels sort of responsible for causing. And
I've never seen that, but it sounds interesting.
It's very good. And if you like Terry Gilliam movies, which I do, you will love it.
Well, Brazil's too weird to enjoy, but
too weird. What?
I didn't like Brazil.
Brazil's a fucking.
That's what people say, but it's like you watch it and you're like, "Am I enjoying this?" I don't think I am.
Yes, you do. I enjoyed it deeply. It's an amazingly good dystopian movie. An incredibly different take on it too. No, man, I'll defend that movie to the death. But anyway, your homework is to go watch The Juggernaut Returns, which is the first episode of season 4. Now, next week our interview with.
No, we're gonna do Juggy first.
All right, so then our next week will be that episode. But before we begin this, Davan, Marvel just released a new thing, which would be the Guardians of the Galaxy special. How did you feel about it?
I hated it.
Yeah, I know you do, and I really dislike the fact you hated it because I loved it.
One, I didn't like any of the music in it because I don't like punk music.
I love the music in it.
All
punk
the jokes
music?
were
What punk
very, very predictable. Everything Drax said, I knew he was going to say before he said it, and it wasn't funny. They've definitely ruined that character. Like, I'm done with that. It's nothing he says is funny. It's just the obvious stupid thing to say in every situation, and it's not funny. It's juvenile. Mantis, they've just turned into Lady Drax, so she's a little bit less annoying than Drax. Like, Kevin Bacon was fine. It was a little heartwarming at the end, but on the whole, it was a huge drop off from Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night, I think, is one of the best things they've done, and this is one of the worst. It felt soulless. It felt like James Gunn just rushed it out. Maybe it's because of the whole DC gig he has now. I don't know, but it felt like he churned it out in a half an hour.
Well, I think when you're doing these specials, they have to do that. Like, he can't do an hour and a half movie.
I didn't even smile once, really. And I
actually really
convinced my partner to watch it with me, and she's hit or miss with Marvel things. But I'm like, oh, this one's getting great reviews, you'll love it, and it was friggin' terrible. So I'm like, she'll never watch a Marvel thing with me again. Like,
no, well, I did the same with my wife because I watched it first, and then we watched it. The last day we were spending with the cat, we just hung out and watched it, and she loved it. I loved it too. I thought it was full of heart. And I don't know what kind of punk music you listen to, but there aren't a lot of punk songs in that soundtrack.
Or whatever you call that. What do you call that? Modern indie rock or something? Like, I don't know what you'd call that music.
So what do you listen to? Like old-timey banjo music?
I listen to any genre.
You don't like the Pogues? You don't like Smashing Pumpkins? You don't like...
No, not really.
Wow, okay. Well, I'm sorry, sir.
I wouldn't choose to listen to the Smashing Pumpkins.
Wow, you are not a child of the 90s. I don't know where you're from, but it's not the 90s.
No, I mean, Most 90s music doesn't hold up very well.
Oh, you're terrible. You got to stop right now if you want to
I
save
like
this show.
traditional forms. I like
You want to
blues,
save this
jazz,
show?
classical,
You got to stop
reggae.
right now.
I like a
I'm
form
going to
that
walk
can
out
never
on
be
you, my friend,
confused
if you
with
keep talking
radio
about this.
music or rock in the generic term, or like indie rock. Anything like that's just a variation of rock doesn't work for me. I need a traditional form of music. Music was perfected before 1990, and everything since then has just been trying to be too clever, in my opinion, and it just doesn't work.
You have some
But
hard opinions, my friend.
I
Anyway,
like funk. Yeah, man. I like
to
traditional
promote an
forms of music.
opposing opinion, it's very good and fun, and it's full of heart. And I teared up near the end because it's heartwarming.
The end was nice.
Little Christmas
Yeah.
story. I liked what they did with it. I thought it was incredibly entertaining.
It was
and fun.
just too much Drax and Mantis, and I like
And that is
Mantis,
what I
not
liked
with
about it,
Drax, because
because
that's too much of the same character.
James Gunn has said in interviews that this was like those two characters don't often get to be in the forefront. They're usually relegated to less important roles in the movies. So this is this chance to give them a more of a spotlight, and I like that we got this.
And then,
it wouldn't have worked in a full movie, but it was good for this, and I thought it was very well done, and I really enjoyed it. Davin, you're just a cold, heartless bastard.
Disagree.
I
expected a lot more from it, and I was disappointed. It felt so rushed.
It's not an hour and a half movie.
And that song, that opening song, lasted like 10 minutes. Like a third of the thing was just that band playing a song I didn't like.
The Pogues singing "The Fairy Tale of New York," possibly my favorite Christmas song of all time.
That's not the Pogues. The Pogues are like an old Irish folk band. That's not.
That's
who that
the band singing "The Fairy Tale of New York." It's the Pogues. It's famously.
No, it's not. Have you ever heard the singer of the Pogues?
I will bet you $1 billion right now that the Pogues sing "The Fairy Tale of New York" in that version of it. Look it up. It's the Pogues.
That song where that band is playing.
The Fairy Tale of New York. When it starts off,
I don't know about the Fairy Tale of New York, but like that, they approached Quill and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna play this song."
Oh, that song. Okay, well, I thought you meant the song.
That's what I'm talking about. And that lasted for like 10 friggin' minutes.
Well, the first song in the episode is when it shows the animated part, and that was what was.
Yeah, no, that was better. The animated stuff is my favorite part of the whole thing. All those animated clips I thought were good.
The old 97 is the band that plays those aliens to sing that song.
Yeah,
I thought it was a great song. And I love the song at the end they did with Kevin Bacon. It was great. Nah, you just don't like.
I don't like
honestly
indie rock because it all sounds the same.
How much of your joy of
here's every indie rock song in the past 20 years. Dun, 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 dun. It's all about this wall of noise, so no one actually has to be good at their instruments. You just go dun 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 dun.
You know, there's other music besides what is the popular songs played in the radio, right? Like you're aware other bands exist.
Those are the only bands I'm aware of. I've never heard a Kanye West song.
Try to listen to some other stuff.
I've tried, man.
Maybe try.
I try.
And I
just end up going back to blues.
I want you to be honest, because I don't want to make you the scapegoat for modern fandom. But how much of what your love of the real life versions of these things is colored by the comics? So like if it's not like the comics. How much of your appreciation for like the live action adaptation of these things is colored by how close they are to the comics?
Oh, I would say none.
Really?
Yeah. I'm not a big stickler for that. I find actually a lot of the ways they've reinvented characters has been a positive. Because a lot of these characters were invented in the olden days, and they could use a little revamping.
For sure. But Drax specifically is a modern example you just said. What about the version of the
I just find him just tired. Like, I do like the comic book of Drax version of Drax better. That's for sure.
I could not tell you a characteristic of the comic version of Drax. He's a big tough guy whose daughter.
Well, there's been two versions. There was stupid Drax, who was just like, because he had his basically lobotomized.
He was a human that was in a car accident, and then because of Thanos, and his daughter died, and he died, and he got his brain put in a robot alien body.
Then he had stupid Drax.
He was like a human man, right? First,
he was a human. He was a jazz musician, and then he died. And Kronos, the grandfather of Thanos, wanted to destroy Thanos, so he imbued Drax with the ability to do just that, which is why he was able to
never could
rip out his heart with his bare hands. But then once Drax stopped being stupid, because he was basically lobotomized, like during the Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity War, and that stuff, you'll notice he's just like monosyllabic, basically. But then once that stopped being the case, you got the version that they based his look off of with like the tattoos and stuff. So that looks cool.
Yeah, the Dan Abnett, when Dan Abnett made the Guardians.
The Abnett and Lanning version of Drax is awesome because he's like a cold, calculating kind of badass, which is I think they could use on the Guardians of the Galaxy, where everyone else is super funny and like
that's what Gamora is.
Like they started this Drax. I mean, on a tangent now, but they started him off in the first movie as the Destroyer. You know why they call me this? Yes, but there's no scene of Drax since then that makes him this intimidating figure at all. He gets schooled by everybody he fights, and he's just too stupid to be effective to like take down Ronan's guys and stuff like that. Whereas like there's a great scene with him in Gladiator in I believe The Rise of the Shi'ar Empire, where Gladiator just has Drax in a cage, and Drax just keeps smiling at him. He's like, "What are you smiling at?" He's just like, "I challenge you, Gladiator." He just like tries to ignore him. He just like looks over at him again, and he's just like, "I challenge you, Gladiator," because he knows a guy like Gladiator can't really like not accept the challenge because of his pride and ego. Then he just keeps saying it until Gladiator's just like, you know what? God damn it, fine. And of course, he can't handle Gladiator. He's going to get schooled by Gladiator, but he doesn't care because he just wants out of the cage. Like, that kind of stuff would have been way more interesting to me from the Drax character than just like stupid lines that are like come from like a 4-year-old or whatever. Like, they basically made him the stupid version of Drax.
He's not stupid. Like, they've established
he's very stupid.
They established that to create the character, a species doesn't understand nuance in language. So like that's where most of the humor comes from. Like it was established right from the get-go that a species.
But he also says things like, "I want the funny man. I want to take this funny man home." Like, he's basically a child.
Well, he's also softened over years of having a family with the Guardians. He's not the same character he was. He's changed
version of that character. For like one movie, it was kind of funny, but then like I say, nothing in this was funny.
Well, I'm going to disagree with that. For those of you who haven't seen it yet, go watch it. It's worth it.
All right. Well, that's the end of my rant here. I ranted pretty hard there. Oh no, and I just deleted one of my banners. I'll have to figure out what that was.
Nerd rage has gone tight.
You can support our very disjointed show at patreon.com/XMen Review Show. Contact us at xmenreviewshow@gmail.com, or just send me a message on Facebook. I always answer. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
He doesn't have a real job, as Sam said earlier.
Company. Find our audio-only version wherever you get your podcasts. Please like, review, and subscribe. And we are a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts. Let's talk about them for a minute. So we have... What up with Graphic Histories?
What's the show you're talking about? Graphic Histories.
Graphic Histories podcast, with some like kind of chump interviews people.
I heard he was a riveting.
No, he's actually he is a sexual dynamo. And,
oh God, that's really wrong to hear you say that.
A damn convincing Santa Claus.
Damn convincing sexual dynamo. What happened? What's going on with that? Well, sir. New episode drops this Friday. The episode from a week and a half ago is up now with John Russo, who is the co-script writer for Night of the Living Dead. Very fun little conversation. Just had an interview with Jason Liu, who is creator for Marvel Comics right now, doing a lot of work on Marvel Unlimited, specifically a story about Multiple Man and Strong Guy traveling the spaceways and getting into all kinds of fun antics. Great guy. Got to start in Toronto, creating the Pitiful Human Lizard, which is a really interesting and fun, deeply Canadian character. And went on to do a lot of fun stuff. So great little talk. I really enjoyed it. It comes out this Friday, on Stitcher, Castbox, Apple, and what's the other one?
Spotify.
Yeah, that's the one. So it's on all those. Check it out. It's also a proud member of the United Federation of Podcasts.
As we all are. And also check out me and Murphy, Worldmind, who's been commenting here tonight, on Hold Up Tomorrow, where we go on about environmentalism movies, 2 of which are environmentalism movies, and one of them's a bad movie Murphy picked. Sorry, Murphy. It's true.
What are your environmental movies?
Soylent Green, which we both enjoyed. No spoilers there, hopefully. And also one of my favorite movies, Medicine Man. And then Murphy picked I Heart Huckabees, and I thought that movie was terrible, and it also had nothing to do with environmentalism. It's about existentialism.
Yeah, it really is. That's a strange.
It's an existentialist movie for sure.
It's sure. I like that movie, but it's not an environmentalist movie. Definitely.
No, there's an environmentalist in it, but that's it. So it has no environmentalism message that we can talk about tomorrow night, but whatever. We'll find something to talk about there. And also, check that out. Hold Up a Movie podcast. Also, check out my Simpsons podcast on Friday nights, KBBBL podcast. The extra B is for BYOBB. We kicked that off last Friday, and that was really fun. I thought it was lots of laughs. It's a good podcast. Check it out. Trivial Debates I hosted Sunday night. I'm not going to spoil the winner, but it was one of the best ones in a while, I thought.
That must mean you won.
Tight matchup. What?
That must mean you won.
I was the host, the judge. I definitely didn't win.
You found a way to win.
Murphy says he was misled. Yeah, he Googled environmentalism movies, and they told him I Heard Huckabees was one. It was not. Also, check out the Live Long and podcast, the many different divisions. Where we have they do, where they do episode
You're gonna
reviews.
Do this whole show around an episode that doesn't even like a movie that doesn't even fit into it.
It doesn't because fit the theme.
That's a Google mishap.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Basically,
that's amazing.
Pretty much. So they're doing DS9 over there right now. We've run into their time. We're cross streaming here. We're crossing the streams. No, that's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing.
And also we do Star Trek Radio Theater. That's kind of fun. We're doing Star Trek 5 coming up soon. Check out Locutors of Trek. We have a Geek Tall Challenge coming up on Sunday. The 2 Daves face off in a battle of Klingon insanity.
Battle of Daves.
Your host, the Klingon host, Galrod, son of Galron. He will be there.
Oh, does he look like you?
He has a ridged forehead.
But like you otherwise?
Otherwise, a lot of Klingons look like me.
Oh, okay.
Also check out Super Mater Brothers. They catch your reality shows and stuff like that. And we're gonna, cousin Dave and I are gonna launch a little 10-minute Marvel podcast where we catch up on MCU, probably on the Super Mater Brothers brand. See.
Is it gonna be
also check out the newest member of the UFP. Yeah, we just spoiled it. It was just the first episode was just gonna be me ragging on friggin' the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special there, but whatever.
Good.
Newest members, the Hellbound podcast, a horror movie podcast with Alex Blackburn and Michael Chan. Check that out. I think that's all our members. Check out all these great podcasts. They're awesome. Anything else you want to say, Andre?
Hug your cat tonight. Give him an extra scratch on his head. Or her.
Hissing vermin!
Oh God, that was a weird thing to say at that particular time.
Yeah, it was. Thanks for undermining my touching moment in tribute to my beloved cat with that
my bad.
horribly
apropos.
That hisses. Yeah, just give your cat a extra love tonight because someday they're not going to be there and it's going to be sad. So
I'll go love some of my kitties.
Please do.
All right, let's get out of here.
Playtime's over.
Playtime's over. Catch you next time, everybody.
Next time.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.